I'm Clara, the host of Learning Meets AI.
I didn't get really on board with generative AI for text generation. I usually start building on really small steps that you kind of it learns with you. I think the big aha moments for me were really that honestly that this is possible.
Welcome everyone to episode 4 of Learning Meets AI. Super excited for this session because we have been doing a lot of no code and low code solutions, and we might hear a bit more and we might be leveling up a bit more today with a couple new things. Excited to welcome our next guest, Mark. Mark spent nearly a decade in learning and development, but shifted course after finding the power of AI-based coding. So today he is responsible for HR tools, data analysis, and building automations. Mark, welcome. Would you like to add
Yeah.
anything else to the intro?
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. And yeah, I think that sums it up very nicely. Excited to give a bit of a peek into the things that I've been working on with AI and automation tools for my job. So yeah, thanks for having me.
And I love that. I think you're such a good example of a non-engineer who is building tools that are almost like an engineer could have built it as well. So you built a solution for an actual problem that was really manual, really repetitive. And the reason why I really wanted you to come on and show us your solution is because when we think about how we use AI. I think this is one of the best examples of using AI where there is a very mundane, very repetitive task that no one really wants to do. So I think this is a perfect example of okay, what we should use AI for within learning and development. I think this is one of the good examples for that. So why don't you just tell us, like what is the tool that you brought and what are you going to show us and demo?
Sure. So I would say the AI tools that I work quite extensively with are really the generative AI models that probably most of the people listening to this are already using. So tools like ChatGPT or what I actually mostly use is Claude. And I use those tools really as let's say, a partner to write code for me. And then I put that code into a tool that if you have a Google account, you already have access to, but you've maybe never heard of, and that's called Google Apps Script. If you've never used Google Apps Script before or don't know what that means, I would explain it as a little bit of a bridge between the different Google products. So if you're already working with Google Sheets and working with Gmail or Google Calendar, Google Apps Script is a bit of like I said, a bridge that kind of connects those tools together using code. So it's been around for a long time. If you can code, then you've been able to benefit from it. But really, with tools like tools like Claude or ChatGPT, really gives you the opportunity to benefit from it now as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think some people are on the Microsoft suite, and the other
Sure.
other part of the world is on the Google suite. And if you are within Google suite, I think that's why it's a brilliant idea to kind of like be within the workspace and really bring together calendar and sheets and email, etc. So I think that's why it's such an interesting thing to think of. Like you are in that workspace, so how can you actually kind of like merge everything into one and make sure that everything is kind of connected. How did you start experimenting with AI? I'm very curious to hear more about that.
So maybe I'm wrong about this, but my feeling is I may be a bit unusual in the sense that I didn't get really on board with generative AI for text generation. So I was never really like write me a training plan or anything kind of in that way. Always enjoyed doing it myself, but I had this idea with a few people at work on building a tool for internal mobility. So we have skill sets, we have roles, we know what we're hiring for. How do we kind of put all these pieces together? And I just started asking, I think ChatGPT, like, this is what I have, what can I do? And it started writing code. And my initial impression was like, no, 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 hold on, this is not what I want. I'm not an engineer. I don't know what this is. And I kind of just went back and forth with it a bit and said, okay, give me a like very step-by-step plan. what is this? What do I do with it? And it told me to put it into Google Apps Script. And I just kind of started following directions, and I was a little bit like blind leading the blind almost at first, but yeah, I went with it, starting really basic. So I kind of, I would say, stumbled into it with this idea that we had around internal mobility, and then I've kind of just taken it from there really with what's possible with getting the code.
I love that. And I love that you did not give up when seeing code. I think a lot of us who are not engineers and you have not been seeing code or not as comfortable with code, that's where most people would be like, okay, that's not for me, I give up. But I think that's probably one of the big takeaways from today already is that if you see code, that doesn't mean you have to understand everything, because that's why you have all the
Sure.
other tools to help you understand what does that mean and really help you get through that as well. Okay, and how do you currently use AI in your day-to-day work?
Yeah, so I think like you said in the intro, I've actually changed roles quite recently, and now I'm really looking at topics around automation for HR teams and building smaller internal tools. And so I'm using it every day. Really, the things I'm looking
Cool.
at are what processes that our teams are doing quite manually that I can very quickly often build some kind of automation to really make things easier for them. That might also include looking at like building a dashboard for someone. We have all of this data in a Google Sheet. What's a better way that we can look at it and quickly building a dashboard for them? So
Okay, so it
yeah,
sounds
it's
like
really an everyday topic for me now.
and it sounds like you started with an experiment and it kind of became your job as well. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's really
Didn't
cool.
expect that, but for sure.
Okay. Why don't you, just like walk through the problem that you were trying to solve, or that you're going to share with us?
Sure. So when I first started in learning and development, I was working in a small team. We would oftentimes put together internal trainings and workshops, and we would schedule those with an external trainer, bring them to our company. We had to communicate this is the training that's happening, and get people to sign up for them. And we managed this whole thing in Google Sheets. So really, here is the name of a training. Put your name down with your email. I'll review those sheets once a day. If I see a new email in there, then I will, yeah, add you to the calendar event. Lots of manual work. It works, but not scalable at all. And at some point, yeah, I figured I can probably see if there's a way that I can do this myself or build automations at least to help with it. And that was kind of the problem that I was trying to solve, is really building our own scheduling tool. And yeah, happy to kind of start
Yeah.
from scratch and basically just show like how I would go about building this as a prototype.
I think this is going to help a lot of people, because I remember back in my days when I was doing all of this as well. A lot of manual stuff was on, like scheduling, and people signing up for something, and then you had to send out emails, etc. So all of it can be automated, which is amazing. So okay,
Yeah,
let's jump in. Do you want to share your screen?
absolutely. So I will just put this up. So just blank Google Sheet, which is really where oftentimes what I initially start with on many projects. Can make it a bit bigger here.
Perfect, perfect.
So if we just want to start thinking like what are the typical things that we're scheduling a workshop for people, what are the things that we would need to have? And I would just start adding this to my sheet. So things like we'll put in a event title, a description, maybe the trainer. We'll put in a trainer email. Of course, we would need to know when it's happening, so a date and time. What else would be good to know here? We'll assume it's going to be a hybrid or a virtual meeting. So if we're eventually thinking about scheduling it with Google Calendar, just thinking a bit ahead, I would put in like a event ID for our calendar, and probably okay. I mean,
Yeah,
there's lots of other things we could
there's
go
too
down
many
here
other
for.
things you could add. So yeah.
Um, and so, but like I would encourage people just start with the basics. So we'll start maybe with those things there. And then what we would do is I'll just make something up here quickly, but we'll call
Yes.
it like a intro to AI. This is your intro to AI event. And the trainer can be me, why not? I'll put in just like a fake email here, so just
Yes,
for a
please.
test. And the date, I'll look at so this is my Google, my lovely blank calendar here. We'll just say it's on Monday the 23rd at say 10 o'clock. So let's go do this. So I said it was on, yes, the 23rd
23rd.
at 10 o'clock. And the event ID, I'm going to leave this blank for now because we don't actually have a calendar invite. Just some suggestions, like because we're working with dates and times, I would format these so that we keep things consistent. So we'll say this is my date at the time. So that's there.
Yeah, so what you're
And
doing is just basically adding the right format for date and time, and if there's anything else, just to if anyone is just listening and not seeing your
ah,
screen, I just want to make sure that everyone has it. Okay, cool. All right,
yeah,
so we added the
cool.
formatting.
Exactly. So this would be like the very, very basic format of what your like scheduling tool would look like within your Google Sheets. And I would say then we really can get to the part that's a little bit, yeah, the exciting part, let's say, which is where we can start using in this case, let's go with Claude to start writing the code for us. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell it, I'll just say, and I'll kind of read in case you're listening, I'll read out a little bit what I'm actually writing. So I'll just say, hi, Claude. I'm building a scheduling tool for Google Apps Script or with Google Apps Script. I want you to write the code for me. I'm just going to say, assume I know nothing about code and I need complete versions of 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 the code. So this is just kind of building the assumption, let's say, that I know nothing about it, which is also more or less correct still. But yeah, so that it doesn't start giving me suggestions on slight modifications that it would think I can make, that it's really giving me the finished product.
Very
And
cool.
what I would do is just having going back to the sheet, I want to be able to tell Claude here exactly what my sheet looks like. And what I oftentimes will actually do to do that is just take a screenshot. And so I'll take a screenshot of my, in this case, my header, the first row, and I'll add it directly into Claude so that it can just see what I've already created. So I'll say I've attached a screenshot so that you can see the header with the information that I have.
Do you usually
There we
add
go.
in context around like what exactly are you hoping to build so that it has the context of that it's an event or that it's regarding like training or learning, or it doesn't matter in your experience?
Um, I don't think it matters too much. Like it can be perhaps, yeah, maybe it's helpful. But I think I usually start building on really small steps that you kind of it learns with you, let's say, as to kind of what you're trying to
Yeah.
accomplish.
I mean, you did say
Yeah,
scheduling tool, so that can be for anything. So just curious.
sure,
Okay, cool.
sure. Cool. So I would say if we go back to the sheet here, like what's the and like I said, we'll take it in kind of small steps. We don't want to try and have it build the finished product for us. If you're really experienced with this and you really know like how to prompt it, then I think you can start doing that. But I would always encourage people just to really start and build on small steps. Once that works, then go to the next thing. So I think like the first step for me is we need to create a way for, like, let's say, make a new sheet down here for our one specific event. So what I will then give as like a first step is for every event that we have listed in the sheet, let's create a new tab at the bottom. and we'll call it like the intro to AI with the date. And this will create a separate sheet specifically for that event where the people who are going to take it, where their emails and their names and all of that will show up. So let's say just as a very first point here, I'll say I want a new tab in my sheet for each event. We'll just say
Yes.
please create that or please we'll say create a function that creates that for me. It should be called the name of the event and the date that it's taking place. Okay, so this is like pretty, let's just see what happens, but this is going to be, I think, pretty simplistic, but just as a, like really as a starting point. So it's going to shoot out this code, which don't be overwhelmed. You don't even need to understand any of that, quite honestly. It's just going to give it a go. And we can copy that code here. And I'll go back to my Google Sheet. And this is where you can actually get to Google Apps Script itself. So if you click on extensions, you'll see it here, and it will load. It'll load in this new tab. We'll give it a second. What you can do is whatever's up here, you can just paste the code that Claude gave us into it, and then we can click Save at the top, and you'll see that it's created what's here referred to as a function. And up here, we can see the different functions that we've included in our code. In this case, we only have one, just because we've only done one thing, but the create event tabs. So I'll click run. And because I haven't done this before, I do need to give it permissions. So we'll just take a look at this. You can't apologize, I guess you can't really see it on the screen sharing, but it's basically, oh, here we go. Can pop it up. It's saying I need to give the code permission to do things on my behalf. So I trust it, so I'm going to say continue. That being said, let me go back into Google Apps Script for you. I really encourage you, if you're doing this for the first time, be really mindful about the permissions that you're letting it have. You do need to give it permission to edit your sheets, send emails on your behalf potentially. And I would really, yeah, just be mindful when you're getting started to not give it permissions that it doesn't need.
And I would
Okay.
probably also say that maybe trying this out on what you are showing now in a completely new Google Sheet, and almost like just trying it out as a mock-up example versus what you actually already have, because I guess like that's not how you started either. Like you kind of started it with a mock-up and then went on to sorry, onto your actual work stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So always start with small projects. Start with things that aren't going to be used by other users. Really get a feeling for it before you start yeah, doing things that are more complex. Cool. So we go back to the sheet. We have this nice
There you
pop-up
go.
saying that the tabs are created, and we can look here. So this is what's interesting. So we have this sheet originally we did, and then this was what was automatically created. Um, I
Yes.
did not tell Claude to add any of these details to the sheet. This is just an assumption that it made. And that's also a nice point here is it will make assumptions about what you want. And so if there's things that are very clear, be very direct with it and say like, hey, I don't want this, or don't make the assumptions. In this case, I actually don't really want any of this in my sheet, so I'm actually just going to delete it. And for me, in this case, what I would say, what information do we actually want in the specific sheet here? I would say things like we want to know the participant name, the participant email, and maybe we'll put like a status in it. So for me, status here would be something like the person has signed up, the person declined, they attended, something like that. But these would be what I actually would be looking for. And so what I'll do is same logic. I'll take another screenshot, and then let's go back to Claude, and I'll just put my screenshot into there. and I'll say everything worked. However, please make the event tabs, yeah, have this header instead, just to
Nice.
really give
Mhm.
it the, yeah, give it what it actually should be. And because we saw that it made assumptions about what I wanted, I'm going to tell it, I'm going to say, don't make any assumptions. If anything is unclear, always, always ask, just to give it a little bit
Yeah.
more, yeah, give it a little bit
It would
more,
come up.
yeah,
It will come up with stuff that like the clearer you give the instruction, the better it will do its thing. But yeah, sometimes that happens if we are not clear enough on like, okay, this is exactly what I want there. It will make assumptions. Nice. Okay.
for sure, for sure. Okay, so that's like as far as creating those first tabs. I mean, this is a very, very basic automation, let's say. But I think where we can actually now start to build on top of this is let's actually put this into the event into my calendar. So we'll tell it to, yeah, change the way that these sheets are actually made. But let's say on top of that, I also want you to create a calendar event with the event title and the description at the date and time that is listed in the sheet. And so let's see what that comes back with. Yeah, so now it's actually going to have some questions for me because it's no longer going to make the assumptions. And that's a really, really good point that it's coming up with is, yeah, how long is your session actually going to be? Um, Probably in the Google Sheet itself, that's something that you would want to specify. If it's a 60-minute session or 2 hours, I think for our test here, let's just say, yeah, good point, 1 hour, so that it knows how to schedule it.
And
And
to
all right.
say one thing, you can actually remove the sidebar, so we can see
Ah,
the whole of your.
perfect.
There you go, much
Is
better.
that better?
Yeah,
There
yeah,
you go.
yeah. We can see it. It's just probably easier.
No, that's helpful. Cool. So it's going to give us a bunch of yeah more code. So we can copy this, and we'll go back to Google Apps Script, and we can actually just completely delete the old code and just rewrite it with everything that's new because it updated the other one as well. And we'll click save.
Yeah,
So
making sure that
what?
you save it.
Definitely. So what I'll do is I'll go back, and this one was the one that was already created. So let's just delete it, and then we'll start just kind of starting over to make sure that that change also
Yeah,
also happened. So, and then if we go back, so we
you have to
still,
run
y-
it.
exactly. So we'll see that we actually have two functions up here now. That's okay, but we can just run the first one again. So we'll go do that. It's going to ask me to do the permissions again. And the reason that it's doing that is because we're also adding Google Calendar into it. So now it's also asking that it should have permission to create calendar events in my calendar. So it'll run. If we go back, we'll see the same thing. So it's okay.
Nice.
So let's created the new one.
Yeah,
It's also with the updated header. And if we go to my calendar, we'll also now see that my intro to AI event has been added there. So now we've created an
cool.
additional bit
Yeah,
of automation here to be able to create the calendar events. All right.
nice. Okay.
So that's the point we're at now. I think let's now kind of now just continue fleshing this out, continue building it. So I think the next thing I would do here is let's also add the trainer automatically to the calendar. So if we go back to Claude, and we can do a few steps here to kind of speed the process up a little bit. But let's say as a next step, please also add the trainer email to the calendar event when scheduling it. So there's that. And if we have a look at our specific sheet here, What we also really want is anyone who signs up to add their email, that those people are also going to be automatically added to the event. So I'll do the same logic. I'll take a screenshot and I'll add my screenshot to Claude, and I'll say any emails that are added to column B of the trading event so be added to the calendar event. And then this is where we can start, yeah, start doing that separate function. So this is where it's going to start making some clarifying questions at the time the tab is created, or do you want a separate function which can later run? So for us, we want a separate, can't spell today,
It's fine.
separate
Whenever
function.
my screen is shared, I cannot type either. So
It's extra,
I
it's
think that's a
extra,
thing.
yeah, there's an extra pressure here. So let's say a
No,
separate
no pressure, no
function.
pressure. Why are you
Email should,
choosing separate function? Is I think we just need to maybe clarify that.
sure. So if we read what Claude has asked, it said the participant email should be added at the time the tab is created, or do you want a separate function that would do it after the calendar event so that they can be added? So for this, we want people to be able to sign up for events that we are sharing. So we won't actually know who's going to be signing up initially. So we can't know those emails in advance, which is why I
Yeah,
would
perfect.
do the separate function.
Makes sense.
I would say something like a user might, add their email later on. So it needs to detect new emails and add them automatically.
Okay.
Okay, so now it's asking again more clarifying questions, which is for me good because it's not making the assumptions. So the first one, how does it know what calendar event to add them to? This is we can answer by saying in sheet one, which is what the default one was, we have the header event ID. So please add the event ID from Google Calendar there as a reference so that it kind of it'll know which event really to add people to. And then how often should it be checking basically for new emails? Um, I would say it should be whenever the emails are added. When the sheet is edited is really when it should be adding them. All right, so now it's gonna give us some new code. I'll have to wait a minute so it figures out exactly what's in my brain.
Feel that you have learned a bit of code through these exercises, or do you still just like accept whatever it is and kind of just copy paste it there?
Yeah, that's a I would say fun question. I have learned a little bit, I would say, but my coding knowledge is still very rudimentary. I could not I could not begin to write any of the code myself. But I find that when I get to the point where there's an error or something just isn't working quite as I'm expecting it to, I can start going through the code and being like, oh, actually, I think I might see the issue or I might be able to spot it. But yeah,
Yeah.
you learn a little bit as you go, but it's still, I would say, very rudimentary, if anything.
Oh yeah, and you know, it's I think it's just interesting how with this low code, no code tools, it's if you really get into it, you kind of actually learn a bit of coding as well. Not that you know you will be able to write this yourself, but I also see that as I'm using more and more of these tools, I kind of like, oh, instead of asking the tool to change a date or a number, for example, I just go and know exactly where to go and change it myself. So you kind of
Sure.
start understanding like how to debug and where to find where to find the bugs actually.
Definitely. And I think with using AI, you learn a lot more of the logic behind it. So you
Yeah,
don't need to be able to write the code, but you need to be able to explain, this is what I want, these are the steps that I need to take to get there. So it's really about yeah, kind of what you're trying to accomplish, and you get really good at understanding the logic of how it can be that you get there.
nice.
So we
Okay, so
have
saving it.
exactly. So we'll save the new code. What I would do is just so we kind of start from scratch each time. Let's just do the same thing. We'll delete this old one. I'll also go into my calendar and I'll just delete the event here so that we can start over. And so we still have the same test. Go back to app script here. We'll run it again. Again, I have to add some new permissions, so it's kind of keeps building on itself over time. I think this one now will be related to, it's going to look for changes to my sheet. So if new people have signed up for it, it needs to be able to actually go when I'm not present. So that's what it's doing. But cool, we have a new one. So same thing has
Nice.
happened here. But now we can actually see this is new. So we have an event ID that's been created and saved in the sheet. And so that can really link the sheet then to that exact ID.
Oh, and it
And then we'll go back
probably, oh yeah, that's the where it's coming from. All right, okay.
exactly. And so now we can also see my test email here is automatically added to the calendar event. So the trainer, you've scheduled your training, the trainer has automatically also been invited. And the next thing would be for our participants. So I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll see what happens here. Yeah,
See, that's why I love this, and that's why some of the things that we have built so far, some of them had errors and had bugs, and I think that's why this is so important for everyone to know that, like, a lot of the times when you do this for the first time or for the 10th time, it might not work, and that is
sure.
part of the process as well. So it's not a demo where everything works. It's yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, and that's part of it.
absolutely. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, let's see.
So our participants are, let's just say our participant name. We'll say it's our Steve test, and I'll just put in Steve at test.com as a new email. So that's all I'm doing in the sheet. I'm not doing anything with AppScript anymore. I'm really just putting names and emails into our sheet. And if I go back to my calendar now, so fingers crossed, maybe it's not going to work. We'll see. Let me
Maybe you have to just
refresh.
fresh, yeah, refresh.
Yeah, we'll refresh it. This is today. Where'd it go?
Oh, I
Oh,
think you're
I
the
think I scroll it.
afternoon slot.
I have to
Yeah, yeah.
scroll up. Okay, so it's not adding it, unfortunately. That's would have been too good. Um, but what we can actually do then is I'm going to just go back to Claude. I'm going to tell it that. Just say this isn't doing what I thought it would do. So I'll say I added an email to column B of the training specific sheet, but that email isn't being added to the calendar event. And we'll just see if maybe it has a reason that's there for. And so it has a reason. It says the on edit trigger created by setup trigger is a simple trigger that doesn't have permission. That's fine. You don't have to know what that means. Just roll with it is really my suggestion for you, and it's going to give you some more code. If you really want to learn about this as to why it's working, it's certainly helpful, especially if you're doing it on other projects that you kind of get a feel for. I did this before. That's the reason it didn't work, so you don't make the same mistakes again. But still, so for me, it makes sense that I've done this a few times.
Yeah.
But here's new code, so we'll do that.
So
And we'll
why didn't it work? What did you understand from that?
Yeah. So what it's doing is it's creating a trigger that isn't actually connected to the calendar event. And so it
Okay.
needs to have a bit more of yeah, it's just an extra level of complexity. It's building something that's contained only in the sheet, and isn't actually syncing with the calendar. But it
Okay.
gave me the new code. So let's just see. It has the new ones. I'll refresh or I'll show back to my sheet. Let's just, I don't know, we can try putting some more people in. So we'll do this time, let's do with Susan. So we'll say Susan at plus.com, something like that.
Nice.
And we'll see then if I go back, I'll refresh here. It's embarrassing. It's still not working. Okay.
No, it's not embarrassing.
Um,
This, I think, this is life, and this is the magic of live demos.
so
Um, but you're
I
not
want to
giving
try.
up, so
No,
let's
no,
see.
and this is where I've done it. Like I said, I've done this a few times, so I think I might
Yeah.
know. Let's just see what happens here. Like I said, if you go up to this window here, you can see some different triggers, and I'm wondering if I might have to run it manually.
Hmm.
So this might be something that fixes it. We'll see. I don't know. So trigger setup, your participant emails. Oh, sorry, let me share my screen. So this might be something where I just had to actually run it once to get it to work.
Oh, so
We'll
you did
see.
not. So you did save it, but you did not click on run. So it might have been the issue that you just didn't run it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's giving me the code, but you have to run it. In this case, you have
Yeah.
to run it manually once to actually get it to actually get it to
Okay.
work. I think that might have been the problem, but we'll see. Let's just put some more people in and go back to the go back to the calendar. We'll refresh again. And there we go. So now all the
There you
people
go.
have been now all the pe
Okay.
now all the people have been added. So if you're trying this out and you run into problems like that, um, what I also really suggest is you can tell the model, the AI, like in words, what's really what you want and what's happening or what's not happening. You can also see if you can just share the code back with it. Sometimes just sharing the code and saying like, "Hey, this isn't working what I thought it would be doing," can be a nice way to yeah to go into getting it to figure it
Yeah,
out.
and that's what I also wanted to say is that where do you feel people usually get stuck, or where did you get usually get stuck, and like what are some of your best practices on how to get unstuck, I guess.
Yeah. I think where people get stuck is oftentimes, and this is where it's little maybe not a good example, but it's kind of doing what I just did. And that's where you find some kind of error, and then if you go into Claude and you start talking about like I added the email, but nothing happened. You really just need to be as specific as you can be to explain what happened with it. And my suggestion on this is also to tell your AI model to add logging. And what logging means is it really creates a text log of everything that happens. And so it might be the log would show something like column B had an email, and that's it. And then you know the email is being added, but it doesn't actually know what it should do then. And if you add that logging, it gives kind of a more of a text version of what's actually happening in the code. And that can be really helpful for you to, yeah, paste that back into the model to get an idea for what's actually happening.
So I'm just curious now because now it means that you can do this manually. So if someone else signs up, let's say for this training, it's not going to edit automatically. You would have to run it again. Or is this now set up that if you add just more emails in, that it will actually do it?
So now, I mean, we can let's see. So I'll say go back to here. I'll just add a bunch of them. So we'll just say test at test.com. I don't know, just to keep it easy here. Test two. So I'll just put them all in.
Yeah.
And if I go back to the calendar, yeah, you can already see here's test at test.com. So they're all being put in immediately. So
Okay.
you don't actually have to run any functions. You don't have to do anything with the code anymore. They're all just being added
Nice.
automatically at
Okay.
this point.
what else would you like? Obviously, we can. Is there anything else you wanted to show, or was this the most of it?
If I mean, if you'd like, I can keep going on it. I think for me, there's two sides to Google Apps Script. The first is I think what I'm doing now, which is the automation part. So like everything that I've done so far, you could very easily do yourself in the sense of create this tab, add sheets here, create the calendar event. This is really the automation side. The other side of Google Apps Script is really creating more of an application, something that your users or your employees can actually really interact with. So if you have a sheet like this, you're not going to share this sheet, or I mean maybe you would, but at least like for me, I wouldn't share this sheet with my team, my company directly, just because anyone can edit the details here. There's no reason for them to do that. But you can actually create an application or an app really directly in Google Apps Script, and that would be the other side, and that's kind of like where I logically would go next with it.
And you could also, I'm just thinking of like how do you actually get people to sign up for a training? Like maybe in this case you have a Google form, which is also an easy way of collecting all the sign-ups. But yes, you could actually have like a much nicer looking way of for people to sign up as well. Very cool. Okay. What is one
Yeah.
thing that you learned the hard way? I'm very curious about that.
I think things that I learned the hard way. I think the first one that would come to mind is all the topics around permissions, privacy. Those I very very happy to say I never had any like serious issues with personal information being shown to the wrong people or anything like that. But just again, very mindful of what you have to give permissions to. And that was something where I got into like some interesting conversations where I built a dashboard that had a various amount of employee information in it, and using all test data, I have to say, testing it out, but I had engineers review the work just to make sure it was okay. And like within 2 minutes, they had hacked it and accessed all of the information. So all dummy data, nothing was actually exposed, but it's like just be really mindful about if you don't understand how it's working, yeah, what you're actually putting into it. So figuring out, yeah, the permissions, data privacy was really, really quite a topic to learn.
I think it's such a good idea as well to before like automate that everything that you're working on, as we said at the beginning, that you have some like sample data or test data that you can play around with and really also like give it to someone who might actually understand the code and really have them look at it and give some feedback, especially when you start out. So I wouldn't probably start with the biggest project. I would probably also start with a sample data, try it out, see if it works, try to break it, and then move on to the like actual live training sign up sheets.
Yeah, start small, no question. And I like if you can explain the work that you're doing in a logic of like if you have this, then I want that, then you can
Mm.
start building those workflows. So if I have this date and this time in my Google Sheet, then I want that calendar event scheduled. And just start that way. But yeah, start small, and as you get better at it, then you can build up to more complex projects.
Okay. How are you feeling? Do you want to go and do more of the app, or do you feel like this is enough for us?
No, I mean, I'm happy. Let's maybe just so you kind of also see the other side of it. Let's maybe just
Okay.
build a really quick web app so that you see that. So we'll just say like this. Say this is all working fine. I now want a web or yeah, I want a web app that I can deploy in Google Apps Script. We'll just say like please show the training dates and times, and make a ability for the user to sign up for the session. So that means the user can input their email. That email is stored in column B, and then they should automatically be added to the calendar event. So this is now going to create an actual application that someone can use to access and sign up for it. You can create whatever design you want on this. It's HTML, CSS based. So if you're doing this for a company, you can use your company's brand, your company's design, all of that. We'll just say something like, give it a modern but fun, I don't know, design, something like that.
Nice.
So it'll build this for us.
There we go.
So it'll first do the first, it's going to redo actually what it's already created, just to update some of the things that it needs there. So you can see it's kind of a bunch that's come out. So this is the first part. So we'll copy that first, and this is going to go just replace everything that I already have. So we'll save that. And now because we're also creating the part that the user would actually see, you can see this is a new this is a new file that it's creating here. So the
It also
index.html.
tells you what to do. So it's not like, oh, now where do I put this? It is kind of good
Abs
in instructing where to put this.
abs yeah, absolutely. And if you're uncertain about what to do, you can also really say, like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Give me step one, step two, and so on, of really like where to click, what to do. So like I said, I do this at this point. I'm using AppScript every day, so for
Yeah.
me, it's really secondhand. But we'll go up here and we'll actually now add an HTML file, and we need to call it. It named it in Claude, so I know what to call it, which was the index, and we can just copy and paste that into here, and then save this. So
Nice.
now, if we go back to here, we can really just see, if I go back to Claude, we can just really tell us exactly what needs to happen, which is telling me to go here and click
And
deploy.
deploy.
We'll do a new deployment, and we want to deploy it as a web app. So this is fine. Say, yeah, anyone can access my web app, that's okay. And we'll click deploy. And it gives you a URL that you can then share if you want other people to access it. What I think is really nice about if you're using Google Suite at work is this is all contained within your company's network, or all contained within it. So you're not hosting this externally, which also makes the data concerns also a little bit easier, not having to host it someplace.
That's a good call
So we'll
out. Yeah.
so we'll open it, and it's going to load. I have no idea
And
what
we'll
this is going to
see.
look like. I have
I
no
love
idea.
it.
We'll
Oh,
see.
there
But
you
there we go.
go.
So it loads.
That's very
So this
cool.
is this is
So
this is how
much, so much better than a Google form, right?
yeah, absolutely. So I mean, this is like, yeah, makes you can make this in, like, I don't know, 20 minutes, something like that, as a prototype. And yeah, it's a much
Nice.
nicer way to interact with
And it
signups than like
also
a just a
works
Google Sheet.
if now you click sign me up, like you could actually add, let's say add, I don't know, you can add Clara.
Yeah, so
And
we'll
add
put you in here.
Clara test
We'll do Clara test, and we'll say submit.
just to go full circle and see whether it all
Yeah, so you've signed up.
nice.
Uh, if we go back, we'll see if it works or if we have some errors, but we'll see. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
So we'll see.
And it
So we
says
see
registered.
Clara. Yeah, Clara's registered. And the final test here. If we go into the Google Calendar, and we'll see you've been added
There
to
you
the
go.
calendar event as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. This was super fun. Feel free to stop the screen share if you
Sure.
want to. We just usually at the end a couple of reflections on um like while building all of these, like what were your biggest like surprises and aha moments where you were like, oh, okay, now I see.
I think the big aha moments for me were really that honestly that this is possible. which
Yeah,
which
right.
is maybe like I don't know, maybe it's obvious for some people or it's for me it was like wow, I can actually build a working web app that I can share with my company and get and use it. And that's
Yeah.
really it was an incredible feeling to be able
And
to identify that need
replace.
and build it.
Yeah, replacing a lot of the manual work. Like I remember I used to do this a lot like 5, 10 years ago, and I did all of it manually. I wish I knew about I knew about this. And I'm pretty sure that some of the people within learning and development, and not just within learning and development, but like when you do trainings or you need to do events or schedule it, like I would be surprised if there isn't people who are like, oh, I have never seen this before. Very cool. Okay. Anything else you want to share around like the build and what like if someone does this for the first time, like what to look out for?
Just try. It's really the best advice I can give is just try. Start with something where you're realizing I do this as a manual task and just see if you can automate it or see what you can do. I started, my background is in learning and development. I'm guessing many people who are watching this probably are in the same boat. Just treat it as a learning experience for yourself. Don't think of, hey, this is a true pain point that I need to address and I need a solution for this. I mean, if you can do that, then sure, that's great, but treat it as a learning experience in the sense of I just want to learn how this works. Even if it's something that sounds a bit silly at first, try it out. Just see what you can do and really iterate on that over time. I really just encourage people to start with something and try.
Yeah. And it's funny because one of my questions is usually how this has changed your workflow since you built it. But it's funny how your whole job changed ever since you started experimenting. So I think it's a very good example of, like maybe you just try to find a good solution for something that is very repetitive and very manual. And it
Yeah.
basically brings you to a completely different like work or job function even, So that's very cool.
I loved working in learning and development. I still do. I never would have imagined a couple years ago that my job would involve this, would involve coding, building automations. It just never would have crossed my mind that it's something that I would do. So yeah, never know where it's going to take you. That's for sure. Um, but it's really yeah, gotta just start and see where it takes you.
Right. And I have a couple of like closing out questions that I ask from everyone. So please complete the sentence. I wish the learning and development industry would do what?
I wish the learning and development industry would move from AI as a content generator to something that is really a partner for you. I feel like a lot of people in learning and development are still at this give me a training plan stage where it's like it's somewhat replacing your job. I'd love for people to see it more as like this partner that works with you.
I think that's such an important point, and I was kind of hoping that you will bring in something like that because the example that you brought in general, it's one of the parts of our job that is like so mundane, and that's not where we wanted to ever spend time on. So I think you're right in calling that out, that like use AI for these type of things where like no one really wants to copy paste the stuff, and instead of really like replacing stuff or replacing the part of the work that is actually interesting and exciting as well. Okay, what
Absolutely.
is the message to the learning peers who kind of feel overwhelmed already by AI? Because there's a lot.
I would say that's okay. It's okay to be overwhelmed, but treat it not as a I'm overwhelmed and I don't pursue it. Treat it as I'm overwhelmed and I want to do something about it. We work in learning. I think we all understand this idea of you can't stay in your comfort zone forever. You need to get out of that, and that's really would be my message. Uh, I know,
Okay.
yeah, repeating myself there really, but just really try, see what you can do.
No, it's important. It's an important message for I think a lot of I mean it's okay to be overwhelmed as well. Like there's a lot that's happening and we also need to learn and at the same time help others learn. So it's a tough spot to be in. What is the next thing you are building? Is my question. Is my last question.
The next thing I am building is so I'm building a dashboard at the moment. We're not the most fun topic in L&D, but we're working on compliance mandatory trainings, and we're trying to make it a bit more fun for people. So I'm building a dashboard where learner progress is automatically put into a dashboard, and you can kind of see how your team is doing in the sense of training completions. And
You
we're
might have to come back and show.
yeah, so gamifying that a little bit is one of the things I'm building at the moment.
Nice, especially compliance. It's like one of those other things where no one really thinks that it's fun, and making it a bit more automated and a bit more, I guess, like yeah, gamified could be very interesting. Okay, thank you so much for sharing all of your learnings and sharing how you automate out scheduling. This was super
Yeah,
fun.
very, very happy to have done it. Thanks for having me.